You might have noticed that a lot of people have websites, but as soon as you ask them how much is that website effectively making for you on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis, very few people will say that that actually is really a good thing. So you could say almost that the website is there as a business card, but it doesn't mean that people will ring you, or even less so that they actually will transact with you online. And so this is why today's topic is really good, as a lot of us are, working from home or are on reduced hours, and where products might have been put back on the back burner and so on. You might have had to close your doors for your business as such. And it's challenging times, it's tough for many. And so I think it's really important that we, again, bring it back to the things that we control and how you can actually still grow your business by really tuning in with the digital side. And funnels in that sense are, as I said already in previous lives here, a way for you to create a website, but where you actually control the customer experience and the customer journey as such. And you do the right things by people as they go through it, and it's almost as if you take them on a tour. It's a virtual tour, and you don't even have to physically be present, but you give them an experience with your business, and it's geared towards maximizing conversions. And that is really why I love funnels so much. Now, what I'm going to do with you here today, I'm going to actually give you the 3 secrets here of high converting funnels. So websites that actually make a lot of money. Or funnels that make a lot of lot of money. So they're not the traditional websites like you all know, where you can just browse around and go over different things. It's really where a whole sequence is happening behind what is initially seen as a page. And so I can't say much more about it, but let's just have a look at the idea of what really is 3 success secrets with those websites. Now, hope that you guys are excited. Let me know if you are, thumbs up, because I really love this topic. And it definitely helps to make money as well. So let's have a look first. The start is that you need to first start with the end in mind. Let me just take my thing. Start with the end in mind. End in mind. I've noticed that all the great strategists, digital marketers, and people that actually are making sales online, and they don't have to be e-commerce, they can be consultants, trainers, coaches, speakers, authors, you name it, seminar leaders, and others as well, is that they really figure out like, okay, in order for me in this present time, where we have coronavirus situations and the likes, for me to be able to help more people with what I do is I need to somehow think about how that sequence should have to happen online, so in the digital space. And they need to really get their head around numbers because, we already said it in previous videos, you only have a list size of X amount of people, you only have X amount of followers, and so the business growth will definitely come from your existing people, but also by growing through other people. And to reach those other people, you either need to use free marketing ways that I've already touched on in a previous episode, or also sponsor advertising to direct people to your funnel, so to speak. And so I'm going to share with you here 2 different examples. One on the low tier where there's less money involved, and one on the higher ticket value sort of offers. One is called a book funnel, for example. One is called an application funnel. I'm just going to break it up that way. Let's just say that you have now, you've authored a book, and it might be a physical copy, right? And that book, for example, you are saying, hey, look, I'm giving a free copy away to you. I've already paid for the book. You take care of shipment and handling, right? Let's just say that you're charging here $10 for the shipment and handling, internationally speaking, right? Or even national. But then as people are going through it and, as people land on that page and they see it and they like it, and they say, you know what, that sounds fair, that book is exactly going to give me something of value and I'm okay to pay for postage and the likes. They do that. What you then offer is an order bump, and that might be something that you say, hey, look, one-time offer here, if you combine this here with the book, I'm actually going to make it available to you for $37. Let's just say that you then also later on have, this was called an order bump. The next one would then be a one-time offer, let's say of $297. And later on, you also offer them an opportunity to buy something at $97. Now, notice here that if people were to take all of it up, it would be maximum $441. But it all started really by making something available to people for free that then they said yes to. They entered their name and email address, then also swiped their credit card to get the shipment handling. But then all sorts of extra things are offered at the point of checking out. And so if somebody would take it all up, which is kind of unlikely because not a lot of people would take it all up, but they could go spend as much as $441 in that same transaction, right? But let's just say that the average value is only $50. It means that some people will only buy the book, or let's say get the book and pay for the shipment and handling, whilst others will have here and there something else added to it. But so if on every single lead that you are generating, the average spend is $50 across the whole lot, you actually know that you can spend up to, let's say, minus your shipment and handling costs, about $40 per lead. Because you know that when you have a good lead qualified, is that that's just going to break even, right? So you can spend a lot of money. And one of the things that I notice here that is definitely valid right now is that the person who is actually can spend the most to acquire a new customer is actually going to win, the one who wins the game. So if you can spend $40 a lead, geez, with this sort of funnel, if you know that from your background, you've had successes around this where you had the $50 per lead generated on average per cart, then you know what your next funnel is going to look like and how much you're willing to invest, because you started with the end in mind. You looked at what you've done in the past and you create a new experience that is really present and contemporary right now. Now this is on the low end, maximum $441, right? When people take all of the extras on. But what if you now were to go for a premium ticket or a high value offer, product or service, doesn't matter. And we're talking multiple thousands of dollars, if not $10,000s, right? What you could do here is you could say that out of 10 leads, let's just say that your experience is that you're converting about 2.5 out of 10, right? And let's just say that the average value of that is $10,000. We're talking already 5 digits here on average. You know that you really can spend up to, let me have maths, $1,250 per lead to generate a client like that, because the money, as I said already in previous things, is on the back end. You might do a first transaction with people at the front end, but then a lot of money can be made afterwards because there was such a thing like customer lifetime value, CLV, customer lifetime value. And so this is just here where you really need to think up front and strategize, reflecting in the rear or looking in the rear view mirror based on past results. How could I somehow create now an experience for this type of buyer in this day and age that will help me to reach the maximum number of these people and help them, and also make sure that I actually, I'm covered and there's not too much risk involved. This is where you start with the end in mind. Now, that's the first success secret. I'm going now to head over to number 2. And again, guys, anytime you guys have a question or a thought, please post it below. Always appreciate you guys getting involved here. And otherwise, a thumbs up is always welcome too. The second secret here is thinking about your headlines. I'm going to share a quick story with you here. Is that there was many years ago, a few decades ago, there was a particular book that was beautifully written and the information in it was so good. But the problem was that very few people were buying the book. And why? Because probably people were judging the book on the cover and the headline that was on the cover. And so if the cover is not kind of really grabbing people right away and makes them interested in having a closer look at it and open up the book, in a physical store, so to speak, the headline really dictates the success of the sale of that book. And again, back to the story, one of the publishers of that book thought that it was so good, but knew that there had to be something different to be done to the cover of it. And he made changes, really thought long on, the headline of that cover, created a new headline with a new title that was more catchy, more intriguing, more interesting, more appealing. And straight away, that book became a best-selling book, globally speaking, selling millions of copies, even though nothing got changed inside the book. So same book really on the inside, just the appearance of it on the outside with a headline changed. And that made a huge difference in sales. So it's important that you think about your headlines for your emails, for your blog posts, for your videos on YouTube, for your posts on Facebook Lives and the likes. Your headlines really dictate whether people will have a look or not to a large extent. And I've got some examples here ready for you. These are really good headlines, and they're in different sort of fields and written in different forms. But so this one here, for example, says from 0 to 100 properties in 3.5 years. Now, I'm not sure about you, but if you were to acquire 130 properties in 3.5 years, you probably think that is really different. That's not really common. Let me find out more, which is why this is a great headline. Here's another one. This is more in the self-help area. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. A great other title. Here's another one by Dr. John DeMartini, one of my favorites. How to make one hell of a profit and still get to heaven. It's quirky, it's different. It's kind of contrasting two different, things that are in opposition with each other and trying to combine it. Here's another one by Brian Tracy, who I've worked with for 6.5 years. Eat That Frog. Best-selling time management book. Eat That Frog. You think like, what is this thing about? Right? And you want to learn more about it. And that's exactly what you need to do. And one last one, $1 Million Speaking. Now, if somebody is a public speaker or a professional speaker, to make $1 million a year with speaking, that in itself shows that this guy knows what he's talking about. So these are good, catchy headlines that command attention and that create the intrigue so that people look further. And that's exactly what you want. Secret, which is about having an irresistible offer. Irresistible offer. I'm going to touch on that one more in a later episode, but also that your messaging that goes with it needs to be in a specific format. And great funnels, once again, the ones that do a lot of business on the back end and the front end even, have a great irresistible offer plus messaging. Now, the irresistible offer, again, I will touch on that in the next episode, but it pretty much means that it appeals so good to a potential buyer where, the price that they would pay are conceived as this compared to the value that they see being this. And so if the price looks smaller than the value of it, you got pretty much an irresistible offer, especially if it's presented in a certain way. But then the next one is the messaging. If as you are taking people through your offers on your website, on your landing pages, on your sequences, in your emails and the likes, in your funnels as such, it's important that you always start with a certain way that is about emotion. It's about catching people in terms of the emotions, the positivity, the excitement, the dreams, the aspirations, getting people kind of interested and grabbed by how you project themselves in the future of owning it, having it, doing it, being it, and the likes, and that in itself makes them feel good. So there needs to be a feel good factor at the front before you actually can go down to the logics and talk about the nuts and bolts of it and explain why and all these sorts of things. And last but not least, then there needs to be some sort of level of fear that you generate at the end of your messaging. So it's a sequence here where your fear factor is talking about the scarcity and time limit. And only when people really have a sense of urgency are they willing to actually make a decision on the short term. And that's really the idea. I think a lot of people that are in the business space, they always feel very, they feel that they're not doing the right thing when they somehow, put a bit of pressure on. But the thing is, if you really want to help people and you know that they're stuck, they've got problems, and they need to have somebody like you to help them fix those problems. Guess what? By you applying a level, like just you helping them to create urgency within themselves, by giving them some sort of scarcity and time limit sort of decision-making tools, by you doing that, you're doing perfectly the right thing by them, but because that way they're seriously motivated to take action. And only when people take action, they can get rewarded. And so that is pretty much my 3 success secrets here about high converting funnels. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about high ticket offers and particularly secrets related to that. If you like this, let me know. Again, we got this free booklet for the 21-day Facebook Live challenge, where lots of things like this, lots of value is being given to you for free. Download that little book if you haven't done it yet. Otherwise, give me a big thumbs up if you like this. Put any thoughts or questions below the video, and I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, 12:15 Adelaide time. That is PM, 12:15 PM Adelaide time. Talking about that. See you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining.